All right, good morning, everyone. Another edition of It's Still Real to Me. Everything Zaslow Show 2.0, of course, brought to us by our title sponsor, Anajar and Levine Accident Attorneys, 800-747-FREE, 800-747-3733. Whatever kind of accident you've been in, you're dealing with a personal injury that's not your fault, you let Anajar and Levine Accident Attorneys put their skills to work for you. 800-747-FREE, 800-747-3733. And of course, with all the major sports going on this week, you got the college football playoffs ready to go. Bet Online is your number one destination for all your sports wagering info. That includes pro football, NBA, upcoming fights, NHL. Head to the website today to get into the action and see all the updated odds for the week. Remember to use our promo code BELIEVE, BLEAV, to receive your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. Bet Online, where the game starts. Our pal, of course, is Joey Levin as we come at you with another weekend edition of It's Still Real to Me. We'll recap all the big stories in the world of pro wrestling. We got a huge day today, by the way, Joey. You know, normally we've seemed to like to do the live streams of It's Still Real to Me, that window that the NFL gives us, right? After the 4 o'clock games and then leading into the Sunday Night Football. So like between like 7:15 and 8:15 is like the money spot, right? But we can't do that today because we got Dolphins Cowboys at 4:25. We got to do the show here in the morning now before everything gets going. Today's a very big sports day.
Yeah, got to stay locked in. I mean, we couldn't risk having to try to start the show, and then we got the Dolphins game ending, and we're focused on that. We got to be right for the people on Christmas Eve. On a Christmas Eve, It's Still Real to Me, spectacular. So good, 9 a.m. I think. Look, we got some people tuning in, and also if you're watching on Twitter, check out the YouTube page and hit subscribe over there and check us out over there too.
Yeah, make sure you subscribe. You have the notifications on. You like, you rate, you comment. We like it when you guys participate during the show. If you want to comment or ask questions, we weave those in and out of the show. And yeah, Christmas Eve. So Merry Christmas to everybody out there. We appreciate you watching. I mean, if you're listening to the podcast, because it's going to be uploaded afterward, phenomenal. But if you're watching live with us here Sunday morning, Christmas Eve, we love you a long time. So appreciate that very much. And hopefully we get your day started off right. And then I'm hosting ESPN today. I'm doing ESPN Radio NFL Game Day at 1 o'clock. So from 1 to 5, I'm on ESPN Radio with Herm Edwards. So you guys can tune in. You can get it's Red Zone on the radio is what we do there. And then, of course, we got the Dolphins at 4:25 tonight. Such a monster game. So we got a few things. A little bit of a slow week in the world of pro wrestling. So we got a few things to catch up on. But I want to start here with I saw the Iron Claw on Thursday afternoon. No, Friday afternoon. I saw the Iron Claw on Friday afternoon. I had been looking forward to seeing this movie for a really long time. I thought it looked phenomenal in the trailers, and obviously the very famous wrestling Von Erich family. Very much looking forward to seeing this movie. And for me, and you saw it yesterday, right?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
So I'm glad I got someone to talk about it with, and we'll do it here. And look, for people, if you're a wrestling fan, you haven't seen it, I implore you to go see it. If you haven't seen it yet, we're not giving out spoilers. It's a true story, all right? It's a true story. It's a very famous true story.
Documented.
Yeah, so there's no spoilers happening here. And, I loved the movie. But it's weird to say that I loved the movie, right? Because did I love watching this really tragic story that made me sad, made me feel really bad throughout the second half of the movie? Like, I didn't love feeling that way, So it's a weird thing to say that you loved a movie like that.
Yeah, I agree. I liked it a lot. I knew it was one of those. The weird thing with this movie was that as soon as I saw the trailer for it, or I saw the poster for it, I was like, this is going to be great. But also I'm dreading seeing this movie.
Me too. That's how I felt. Like, I was like, I'm going to be devastated watching this movie.
Yeah, because I knew just how awful. I mean, the story is just, it's terrible. I mean, but if you grew up with wrestling and if you've watched, I mean, there's documentaries about it. There's so much. There's stuff, Kevin, who is the brother who is still alive, who was on AEW recently with the young. There's now like I think it's like his grandsons are a tag team, the Von Erichs.
No,
You
those are
listen,
Kevin's. Those are Kevin's sons. Those two.
are they his sons or his grandsons?
No, those are his sons, Ross and Marshall, who are portrayed at the end of the movie.
Okay, is that who that is? I don't know.
Yeah.
I know there's a tag team Von Erichs. I didn't know if it was his sons or his grandsons because he's old. I mean, he's an older guy now. He's like 13 grandkids or something like that, right?
Yeah.
Something like that. So, but anyways, yes. So, yes, I was dreading seeing the movie, but I enjoyed it. I thought there was actually, whether I put this part out of my memory or I just didn't know, there was one part that I had no idea about. I just like totally slipped my mind or I forgot. I did not realize, and again, this is a true story, so not spoilers.
Yeah.
I did not realize that Kerry Von Erich lost his foot before he went to the WWE. I did not know that. I didn't realize he wrestled as Texas Tornado, and I knew he was Texas Tornado, knew that. But me and my brother were watching it, and we saw that part, loses his foot, and even my brother looks at me, he goes, "Isn't he Texas Tornado?" We were both like, I did not know that. I didn't know that part.
It was not a known thing. I don't know if the movie essentially confirmed the rumor that he was wrestling with an amputated leg, but for many, many years, it was kind of it was something that was talked about. It was something that was mentioned. It was never really confirmed. And he wrestled, he was only with WWF for a very short period of time. He wrestled all those years with the amputated foot, and nobody knew about it. He would Fritz Von Erich had the doctors sign non-disclosure agreements. Nobody was allowed to talk about it. Nobody knew about it except for immediate family. Kerry would show up to the arenas with his boots, with his gear already on. So nobody knew. And apparently there is now, back then we're talking about not everything was recorded and whatnot. There was one match, not WWF. There was a match where apparently, obviously the person he was wrestling didn't know that he has an amputated foot. Nobody knew. And he pulled on his boot and the boot came off. And he had to kind of go under the ring and retie his boot. And then they kept going with the match. And that's when there started to be a little bit of chatter where it's like, whoa, does Kerry Von Erich have half a foot? But no one was able to really confirm it. And yeah, he didn't lose his foot in that motorcycle accident. He had the motorcycle accident. His foot got badly injured. And because he tried to wrestle faster than he should have, he kept hurting the foot more and more because it didn't have enough time to recover. And a year later, they ended up having to amputate the foot.
Got it. So they didn't really explain that in the movie.
Right.
In the movie, they made it. They sort of implied that he lost it in the accident and then just jumped back into wrestling. So
right. But instead, he had the accident, jumped right back into wrestling, and exacerbated the foot injury. Yeah. And then they had to amputate it either months or a year later. But he was in WWF, and look, he was a much lesser version of himself by the time he came to WWF, and now we know part of that was because he didn't have his right foot. That was part of it. So, yeah.
My other takeaway, and again, it's whatever if you're to believe the story, the narrative that's being portrayed in the movie, and I'd have to think that Kevin, again, the one brother who's still alive, had a lot of influence over how this movie went. Fritz Von Erich, bad guy.
Yeah.
Not good guy. Not good. Not a nice guy. Not a nice person. Which is not shocking. I mean, he grew up in an era where people were just harder on their kids and he was just a hard guy. But he comes off as about as bad as it gets in that movie. As in terms of a father and a person, really.
Yeah, his whole life's goal, he cared a lot more about winning the NWA championship, whether or not it was him winning it or it in his family. He cared more about, it's almost like he had his sons to give himself more of a chance to win the NWA championship as opposed to having his sons because he loved his family. Like he loved that NWA championship so much more than he cared about it so much more than he cared about his sons. And there was also the whole where, the boys were not allowed to cry when their brothers died. They have to stay super tough. And it led to what was my favorite part of the movie, which was like, the movie was terribly sad, but I really, really liked the ending. The ending made me feel really good, where you have first of all, the movie's about Kevin. I mean, it's about the Von Erich family, but it's about Kevin Von Erich surviving and how different he was from his father, where they show him at the end and he's crying. Which his father told him you're not allowed to do as a man. And he's crying there watching his sons play together. And then his sons, of course, tell him, we'll be your brothers. And then, and I love that they showed at the end how Kevin Von Erich lives now on a ranch. Everybody lives with him, his 4 kids and all 13 of his grandchildren. That made me really happy. So I really loved the ending. But yeah, it's this toxic masculinity, is a lot of what the movie's about. And Fritz was an asshole, and while they didn't show it, they alluded to it, obviously, where, once all the brothers were dead, the mother divorced him. She's like, I got to get the fuck out of, where she didn't make him dinner at the end of the movie. Right. She ends up divorcing him. And he was a real asshole. And he stole from his kids. Like, he stole money from them.
Yeah. Yeah. They talked about that. Or that he brings that up. Kevin brings that up at the end. He sort of alludes to it.
Yeah.
Did you know there's a 6th brother?
Yeah.
Who also killed himself?
Yeah. Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Wasn't really a wrestler.
He wasn't really. Yeah. He was like small and not really close to the brothers, and that's crazy. It's nuts. The whole thing is crazy.
Yeah, and the director said like it's a tough decision because you don't want to leave a family member out, but he's like, even though it's a true story, you're asking, you're asking a lot of the audience to believe that everyone just keeps dying by suicide.
Right. Well, and also, when I first was told that, I was like, man, that's crazy they left him out. That kind of ruins a little bit of the movie for me. But then when I found out that he really didn't have a lot to do with the story of the wrestling.
Right.
Right. So that would have been a lot to add that in there when he was very, very minimally, if at all, involved in the wrestling part of it, which is really what the story. It's the story of one of the most famous wrestling families ever. Mm-hmm. My only issue with the movie, because I liked the movie, it was really good. You gotta cast Ric Flair better than that. You gotta.
I liked it. I liked him.
That guy was not good.
I liked him.
He was bad. He didn't sound like him at all. It's one thing to not look like him. I get it. You're actors. You got to make him look what he didn't sound like Ric Flair at all. And my thing is like, you're not going to be perfect, but everyone on the planet has a Ric Flair impression. You could have cast 50 professional wrestlers right now to just have that one moment in the movie, and they would have done a perfect Ric Flair impression. And it wasn't just like you had him say a couple lines. You had him cut an entire iconic promo, not sounding like Ric Flair.
Yeah. I don't know. I dug it. I dug it.
I liked the character, and I liked the involvement in that they had him in there. I just didn't think he sounded like Ric Flair at all.
I liked after the match where he went in the locker room and after getting his ass kicked by Kevin Von Erich and wanted to go out for, let's go get fucked up, But
I thought that was a cool moment too, because besides from let's get fucked up, it showed that part was actually seemingly pretty true to how Flair was, where it was like he didn't respect Kerry Von Erich, and then Kerry Von Erich like went off script and tried to beat the shit out of him, and then afterwards was like, thought you were a daddy's boy, you're tough, I'll give you a rematch anytime. Like that's seems true to what about the way Ric Flair was back in the day, where it was like you had to earn it with those guys in the NWA. So I thought that was a cool scene. By the way, you were saying like everyone go see it, wrestling fans, whatever. If you're like the people who sat next to me and my brother, stay the fuck out of that movie. Those people would not. I thought we were watching a comedy. These people were laughing so much. They laughed at everything. They laughed the whole movie. But like cackling at moments. Like Ric Flair's like, let's go get fucked up. You would think that like Dave Chappelle just hit the punchline to end his show when he said, let's go get fucked up. They were falling out of their seats laughing at that. I was like, what the fuck? What's happening here? Like,
there was nothing funny about the movie.
Nothing. It's one of the most depressing movies in a good way. Like, it's a great movie. They told the story well. I mean, Efron and Jeremy Allen White killed it. I mean, they killed it. But
Efron was so good, and Holt, what's his name? Holt McCallany, who played Fritz, was incredible. I think.
No, everyone was good. Good movie. But it's depressing. It's a depressing story.
Mm-hmm.
And these people would not stop laughing. I was like, all right. So what I thought was like, all right, these are people who saw an interesting movie, an interesting story, but think wrestling's a joke. Like these people are like the kind of people who are like, oh yeah, wrestling's a joke. It's this fake thing. And these guys are all just like idiots and whatever. Because there's no reason to laugh the way these people were laughing. It almost, I actually told them to shut up at the beginning.
Really?
They were talking too. Like within like 5 minutes into the movie, they're just talking. And I'm like, yo, you guys need to calm down, like stop. So they stopped talking, but then they just would not stop laughing the whole movie.
Yeah, people suck in movie theaters, man.
It was terrible. So if you're those kind of people, like if you don't actually have like a little bit of respect for wrestling and you think it's all just a big joke, don't go see the movie because you ruin it for everybody else.
Did you like the casting of Harley Race?
Yeah, he was fine. I thought that was fine. I
thought
it
looked
was
just
good.
like him.
Yeah, it looked good. It was good. Yeah, that part like like I said, I really had no major issues with anybody other than the Flair thing. And it was just more because he didn't sound like him at all. I didn't think he sounded like him, but it's fine. The mannerisms were good. He did a good job. The voice though. Like there's guys out there that have a Flair. Like people have a Flair impression, you know? Did you notice? I noticed 3 wrestler cameos. Obviously, there's the well publicized was MJF was in there for
right. You barely saw
like
him.
a split second, but did you notice the other 2?
Yeah, Chavo Guerrero is who he's wrestling at the beginning of the movie. Chavo is the guy for all these movies where actors need to be trained to do wrestling. Chavo's Chavo's job. He trains actors how to wrestle. Like he was the main trainer in the TV show Glow on Netflix, which man was such a great great show. Yep. Chavo was in the beginning there wrestling Kevin Von Erich, and another cameo. I don't know who was it.
Very he didn't even wrestle. It was Ryan Nemeth.
I didn't see him. Where was he?
He was, I forgot which, it was a tag. They were backstage talking about David, his debut.
Oh, was he tagging with Bruiser Brody?
And he was tagging with Bruiser Brody.
Oh, I didn't even notice that.
Yep. It was it was quick. But they really just showed him in the backstage discussion of how the match was going to go down. And he was tagging.
I was explaining a few things to my son. I went with my older son, and he liked it a lot too. And I said, I'm explaining a few things throughout the movie. I'm like, that guy right there is Bruiser Brody. He was a really big deal. He was murdered, and my son was like, really? I said, yeah, after a match in the arena, he was murdered.
Actually,
and it was covered up.
Now that you mention that, if there was one other casting decision I would have tried to make, I would have had the guy who played Bruiser Brody be a lot bigger. He didn't seem that big.
But you know what? You could say the same thing. Like that'd be one of the critiques with Jeremy Allen White. Like Kerry Von Erich was a big dude. And Jeremy Allen White, like he said, he's like, I couldn't bulk up. I couldn't do what Zac Efron did. My body wouldn't take it.
He was pretty jacked, though.
Yeah, I mean, he was cut, but like Zac Efron was jacked.
Yeah.
Jeremy Allen White, like Kerry was not that. The only one of them that was big was David. David was like 6'8".
But my brother was asking if like Efron had prosthetics on his face to make his face look like that. I just think that's how his face looks when he's juiced up.
Yeah, I think he just blew up, and that's what he looked like.
Yeah. No, good movie though. I mean, I
thought the wrestling scenes were really good too. I thought it was really well choreographed.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it looked good.
Yeah, I thought they did a really good job. And I actually, like the first match or the match where Harley Race suplexes Kevin Von Erich outside the ring. I thought that was a great scene. Like I thought that was like the way he was hurt and he sold it and it took a long time and that whole I was actually kind of nervous in that moment and I obviously know I have an idea of what's going to happen here. But I was like the way they shot that scene I thought was really good.
Yeah. I liked I liked how they showed. You could see in the background, the TV in the background, you could see them watching SummerSlam where Kerry wins the Intercontinental title from Mr. Perfect. I remember watching that as a kid. He puts the iron claw on him and then he does the tornado punch. And it was like a shock that he beat him, Yeah. And so I like that they had little stuff like that. And did you hear when when Kerry was all drugged up at this point and he came back home for Christmas, the night that he gifted him the gun, and he was the Intercontinental Champion at the time. And Fritz said to him, when are you going to get a shot at the world title? I see your old partner Hellwig is holding.
Yeah. You mentioned Warrior. Yeah.
Yeah, because that's between WrestleMania 6 and 7.
Mm-hmm.
That's SummerSlam when Ultimate Warrior was the champion that whole year.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Kerry actually, in Survivor Series, which was right after that show, was on Ultimate Warrior's team. Sure. I think it was Ultimate Warrior, Kerry Von Erich. I think maybe Demolition was on their team too.
Yeah.
Or either Demolition or maybe it was Legion of Doom that was on the team. No, it was probably Legion of Doom because by then Demolition turned heel at that SummerSlam because the Hart Foundation won the titles. I remember that. But yeah, they were on a team. But I thought that was cool. Your old partner Hellwig's got the strap.
Yeah. Yep. Mm-hmm.
I liked it a lot. They left things out, like you said. There was a brother who wasn't even mentioned. And actually, David and Kerry had families of their own. They were both married and had kids. And the story was about Kevin. That was the movie. The movie was about Kevin. Right. And I liked it so much, and I don't think I'll ever watch it again.
I can't. No, there's
right.
No
it's too upsetting. It's too depressing. I liked it so much. I don't think I'll ever watch it again.
Me and my brother were talking afterwards. Who do you want to see? Obviously, down the line, who do you want to start seeing biopics about? Wrestlers or wrestling families or wrestlers? We were talking about Flair. Obviously, would be crazy. I thought the Hart family would be an interesting one.
Yeah, but would any of those be better than any of the 30 for 30 docs we've already seen on them?
Yeah, but I'm not talking about like documentaries. I'm talking about
I know.
I'm talking about Iron Claw.
Yeah.
A biopic where you cast it with actors and you have a narrative. There are documentaries about the Von Erich family, but like you said, this movie is about Kevin's story, and they cast Zac Efron, the whole thing. Who would you want to see sort of a narrative movie about in wrestling? We were saying Flair. I said the Harts. Dusty would be an interesting one. I said Hogan would be interesting, but my brother said there's not any real tragic event to emphasize in his career other than I think a fuck up towards the end.
I think many days down the road, once Cody Rhodes actually finishes his story, there's a movie to be told there, going from Dusty, and then it ends happily with Cody winning the belt that Dusty was never able to win. That down the road could be something that you could do.
That's way
down the road.
Yeah, that's way down the road. But yeah, that's an interesting one. Sure.
Yeah, it's way down the road. Yeah, I really liked it. So again, if you're a pro wrestling fan, you probably are if you're watching or listening to this, go see the movie. It's but be prepared. I was looking very forward to seeing the movie, but also nervous because I knew it was just going to crush me. And yeah, it does. And it's crushing, man. Yep. But Zac Efron is fantastic in the movie. Just really good. Movie's great. All right, let's get to it here. So not a ton happening this week in the world of pro wrestling, but still some things for us to get to here. We'll start out with WWE. Now, this is kind of the stuff where I don't know why I do know why. Vince McMahon is the reason why. But good on Triple H, man, where now they're doing things like this past week, Raw and SmackDown were both taped, all right? So the wrestlers get the week off. And this coming week, they're doing best of episodes, right? Christmas episodes, whatever the kind. And so they get the wrestlers get time off with their families. And every other major sports league has an off season. Pro wrestling does not have an off season. It makes sense. No one's going to get crazy. Viewers aren't going to get crazy for these, this week that we don't have a live show. It's not a big deal. And these dudes, they get to take a couple of weeks and, rest their bodies, spend a little bit of time with the family. So they're going to be off this week. We're going to have the best of type shows. But when they come back the Monday on Raw, you got day one. All right. That's January. I think it's January 1st. Is it?
Yeah. And the Friday before that is now they announced that the Friday before that for SmackDown is New Year's Revolution.
Okay, good. So so this Friday and then on Monday, you got two big shows that are coming up. for Monday, we know we got the triple threat: Randy Orton, AJ Styles.
Well, no, that's on New Year's Revolution. That's on SmackDown.
Oh, that's on SmackDown. Okay, sorry, that's on SmackDown.
Right, because it's for the number one. It's for number one contender.
Right. Okay, so that's on SmackDown. Is there any reason to believe that Randy Orton does not win here? Like, and
No.
when I say is there any reason to believe that Randy Orton does not win here? Is there a world where, it becomes a 4-way at
That's
Royal
what I was.
Rumble?
Yeah, when I was watching SmackDown, there was a part of me that was like, "Are they going to do a fatal 4-way at Rumble?" But
I don't think so.
No, it seems more like it's Orton, and then they'll do AJ and LA Knight as part of.
Oh, do you think we're to get AJ and LA Knight in an actual match at Royal Rumble?
Yes, that's what this feels like, right?
And then are they not going to be in the Royal Rumble match?
I think they'll be in it. I think they'll be
both.
in it. Yeah, I would imagine. It seems that way. I mean, how many matches are usually on a Royal Rumble card?
You got to remember, each Royal Rumble 60 minutes at least. All right, that's 2 hours right there.
Right.
So you really only have time for max 3 more matches, max.
Right. So you'll have Roman, you'll have Seth,
and
maybe not even Seth. I don't know.
Yeah, he's not going to fight.
He's fighting in the
Royal Rumble,
but he's fighting Drew at day 1. So you have to build something between day 1 and Royal Rumble for him to do at Royal Rumble.
Wow. So you're just not going to have the champion fight at Royal Rumble.
One of the champions, yeah.
I mean, you got to.
I feel like you do, but then what about the women's titles? Like,
well, the one of the women's titles, at least one of them, needs to be defended at Royal Rumble. Absolutely,
right. But we have at the moment, as far as I know, there's no real feuds going on in the women's for either women's title. They announced after SmackDown, after that 4-women tag match or whatever, Mia Yim is going to fight Io at New Year's Revolution for the title, which is obviously just like, all right, that's just something to do. But that also means that if you're going to have any of these titles on Rumble, other than Roman, which we know is going to be on Rumble, after day 1 and New Year's Revolution, they get to start a new feud for all 3, for the women's, the SmackDown women's, the Raw women's, and Seth Rollins. None of them have a real feud happening for their title that would lead you into Royal Rumble, unless you're just going to run back Drew and Seth.
Right.
So we'll see.
Which they could.
Look, a month is a long time. They could do plenty of things in a month. But as of right now, the only one that we know for sure will be on Rumble is Roman, and then the 2 Royal Rumble matches, which is why it seems plausible that you could have AJ and LA Knight on that card, and then have them still be in the Rumble.
I don't think we get that as an actual match. I think they'll do their business at Royal Rumble.
Oh,
I think they'll do their business in the Royal Rumble match. I don't think you're going to have that as an actual singles match at Royal Rumble. But I do think that's obviously a feud that
yeah, absolutely. So
yeah, I don't. You can't do a 4-way. You got to have those bodies in the Royal Rumble match. So I don't see it happening like that. Yeah, so we're obviously trending toward Randy Orton. Santos Escobar, he's got a new crew.
We've been saying it, and it happened. This is the true testament to the Triple H era. The fans talk about something, and then he does it.
It's interesting because I think it was Triple H who said it recently when talking about CM Punk, and he was like, "If we hear the fans want something, we're going to do that." Yeah. And that led to them bringing back CM Punk. And I don't feel like that's ever been their attitude in the past,
No. Vince, obviously the calling card of Vince is that when the fans want something, he's going to wants to show that he knows
he's
better.
The one in charge.
Yeah. I'll tell you what you want. Yeah. But with Santos, I've sort of been talking about this since the LWO and Legado started, which was Angel Garza and Humberto Carrillo are like actual like luchadors and Mexican wrestlers. They kind of made more sense than the guy who's not.
And Angel Garza is awesome.
Yeah, he's great. They're both really good. Like once Humberto became a heel and sort of joined up with Angel Garza, he became pretty awesome too. Early on, he was a little, cookie cutter or whatever, but they're perfect for Santos. Like this trio should be massive. Like I don't know if he's going to win this Intercontinental tournament. It seems like it's going to be KO, but it especially because Logan is a heel. So they'll have.
Are we going to get KO
maybe
versus
that's what we'll
Lashley
get
in the final there?
No, the final is KO versus Santos. He beat Lashley because they came back.
Oh, you know what? I didn't. Yeah, sorry. Okay.
Yeah, no, it's all good.
So KO versus Santos. Yeah, and
right.
they're not. There's no point in Santos versus Logan Paul, at least not right now.
Right. Well, so are we going to get Logan Paul and KO at Rumble? Maybe that's what we'll get at Rumble.
Yeah, maybe.
Or is it going to be at? Yeah, I guess maybe at that. Maybe that's at Rumble because
maybe.
Because I guess it would seem that
because Logan Paul is definitely going to be at Royal Rumble, definitely.
Yeah, got to be. Mm-hmm. But he's not going to be in it. Oh, that stinks because he's good for a good moment in Rumble.
He could also be in it. He could also.
But either way, I don't know what the plan is moving forward. I don't know if they're going to get back in another feud with whatever's left of the LWO. But this trio is like a better version of what Legado was before with the other two guys, because Garza and Carrillo are way better than those other two guys, I think.
Yeah, at least they're guys that we know. I still today don't even know the other guys' names.
Right. And you could put a microphone in Garza's hand and he can actually do something with it. It doesn't have to always be Santos. Yeah. Right. So I love that they pulled the trigger on this. Those guys have sort of been toiling away doing nothing for a while now.
And so we're also going to have another faction is about to form on SmackDown. Now, you brought this up to me a week or two ago, and I kind of poo-pooed it as, you said there's an internet rumor, and I'm like, that seems really far-fetched.
Right.
And that was in talking about Karrion Kross. And that Karrion Kross, Roman Reigns, Shinsuke Nakamura, Rey Mysterio,
Drew
McIntyre,
Drew, AJ.
And you gave all these examples how, because of their interaction with Karrion Kross, that something evil has happened with all of them. And I said to go, that seems really far-fetched, man. I don't understand. How is that literally the exact same promo that Karrion Kross cut this week? Like, to a T. It was the exact promo. And he showed you examples of all the interactions he's had and how all these guys are now evil because of his master plan. It literally happened player for player.
Right. I don't know. Well, Karrion Kross has always been really good. He seems to I feel like he's like an internet era guy. Like he listens to the people too. But it's probably because the internet was right. I mean, the internet was right. And it was just the plan all along. Although I don't know what it means, because part of the theory was that maybe all of those guys could join a group together, which is clearly not going to be the case. It's clearly that he's going to be sort of a leader of a group with Authors of Pain.
Yeah, 100%.
Right? But the other thing about the authors, so he said authors a couple times in his promo.
Yeah, at the very end, he said this story needs some authors.
Right.
And then, if you notice, they flash to there is a picture of the Authors of Pain, and I assume Paul Ellering.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna ask you. So it's Paul Ellering.
I assume, yeah.
So is Karrion Kross
better not be somebody else?
Well, Paul Ellering was backstage. Another internet. These people on the internet, they're crazy. They must watch frame for frame.
Yeah.
Like someone pointed out a couple weeks ago that Ellering was backstage during a segment. Like they saw him off in the distance.
Do you think they must have done that on purpose, right?
I would imagine, yes. I don't think WWE makes mistakes like that.
Yeah.
But does that mean that Karrion Kross is going to be the leader and Paul? So it's going to be like Ellering will be his Heyman type of thing, and they'll be like his Usos.
I don't know. I don't think it's
to make a comparison.
Yeah, I don't think it's that deep. I think just the Authors of Pain have always been better when they've had Paul Ellering with them. Paul Ellering was with them their entire NXT run, and then they dropped Ellering when they moved Authors of Pain up. It never made sense. Everybody likes Paul Ellering. I mean, shit. It just makes sense to have him with them. When they're fighting. So I think it's going to look clearly like Karrion Kross is the leader of this group, but Paul Ellering manages the Authors of Pain.
It's a weird group. Now that I think about it, because it's going to be Karrion Kross, Authors of Pain, Paul Ellering, and Scarlett. So you have two managers for three guys. I'm here. I mean, I'm cool with it. It's fine.
I like it. It's unexpected. I like when we get unexpected.
It's interesting. But it's a weird setup. I'll be interested to see how they sort of go about it. Because Ellering is really good, and they were great with him.
Hasn't aged a day, by the way. You'll see. Looks the same as he did 35, 40 years ago. Has not aged a day.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, exactly the same.
All right, before we continue on here, guys, one of our great sponsors, huge pro wrestling fan. And I want to tell you, if you're looking for your new home, you're thinking about getting a new home, you don't know where to go, you want to make sure you got the best opportunity to get the best price. If you're looking for a home anywhere in beautiful South Florida, I send you to Matthew H. Mashler, your trusted real estate broker. Huge pro wrestling fan, chairman of BRCW, Boca Raton Championship Wrestling. But if you're looking for your next home, Matthew H. Mashler, signature real estate finder. Over a decade of experience, Matthew specializes in luxury homes. He is a certified luxury home marketing specialist. You want to make sure you get the perfect home for your family in the best neighborhood at the best price. 561-208-3334. Again, Matthew H. Mashler, 561-208-3334. Maybe just looking to sell your current home. Okay. What if you're looking to take your current real estate career to the next level? You could join the Signature team. Signature real estate companies are South Florida's industry leaders, ranked #1 in Boca, one of the tops in all of the state of Florida, and that includes in Delray, Coral Springs, Lauderdale, Naples, Palm Beach, Orlando. The Signature team is where you want to be. So whether you're looking to buy your dream home, Matthew H. Mashler, 561-208-3334. Maybe you want to sell your property, realestatefinder.com, or just join the best in the business. Contact Matthew H. Mashler today, 561-208-3334, realestatefinder.com. Matthew H. Mashler, your pathway to exceptional real estate experiences. My girl Piper Niven and Chelsea Green, they lost the titles. It feels like they didn't have anywhere to go with them. So they lost the titles and they gave it to Caden Carter and what's the other one names? Katana Chance.
Yeah. But what doesn't it feel like they don't have anywhere to go ever with the tag title, these women's tag titles? I just, at least,
and they have a bunch of tag teams though. You constantly see Tegan Knox and Natalia walking around. You see Shayna Baszler and Zoe Stark walking around. They got tag teams, but they never really
and also
what they're doing.
Also, you saw on SmackDown the Isla Dawn and Alba Fire came.
Glad they're back.
Yes. And by the way, Isla Dawn looks like she came back. Like she made
good for her. It looks a lot smarter.
Looks like she's a lot smarter. Yeah, she might have done something. I don't know. Maybe it was just the angle of how she popped out of the box, but she looks like she got smarter during their break. But at least with Chelsea Green, there's a member, like there's a character there, and she can like do things. Like this tag team, these other two girls, like Chance and Carter, like
they don't do anything for me.
They're good in the ring. That's fine. They are not going to get any crowd excited about them. There's nothing there. They don't talk. There's no character. They're literally just like, we're really good wrestlers.
They like going to raves. That's their vignettes. Is them at raves.
So I don't know, to the point of like there was nowhere to go with them. There's nowhere to go with these two. So right. Unless the thing here is Chelsea, they're going to move Chelsea up and have her do more. Which, okay, all for it. She's great. But you could have done that with the titles on them. I don't know.
Speaking of Chelsea Green, what kind of fucking bullshit that Samantha Irvin is not able to do the special intros anymore.
Had that in Big Dirt, so I guess I know where you land on that one. Yeah,
I mean, come on.
Sort of a weird thing too, or it's like there's this. It's being reported as like higher ups backstage made the decision that she can't do it, but
I think it reported Samantha Irvin said it herself.
Right, but the reasoning was that there was like higher ups backstage that didn't want her to do it anymore. But
maybe other superstars are like, why don't I get a special intro? Like
she does pretty unique intros for everybody.
Not everybody.
She does it for a lot.
For some, yeah.
I mean, she does it for Imperium.
Yep. Who else?
Imperium is awesome.
Right. Imperium, Chelsea Green, and who else?
I'd have to think about. I mean, I
think that's it.
There's others. There's got to be. There's others. I'm sure there's others. But I don't know. It does seem. I mean, unless they were like, don't do it for anybody.
Yeah,
But
I think that's what it is. It's don't do it for anybody now.
So on Monday, she didn't do her Imperium thing?
I don't think, I would assume not.
I don't know. I didn't really pay attention to it, but that does suck. That was part of what has quickly made her like one of the favorite ring announcers ever. Like, people love that.
She's fantastic. Yeah.
It also doesn't seem like a Triple H thing. Like Triple H feels like he would let her do her thing because he knows so I don't even know where that could have come from.
It may have just been like other stars are like, why don't I get a special cool introduction, and then it's just
give her a reason
that it's worth. I don't know.
Give her a reason.
Yeah.
Obviously, I think she's smart enough and talented enough that if you had a reason to have a unique intro, she would do it.
Yeah.
But that would be crazy if that's the reason people complaining about the intro. But whatever.
We had we had no Punk this week, right? No Punk. Okay. Is he fighting?
No anything this week? There was not a whole lot going on. And it is a very slow week.
Well, it's a lot of time in between Survivor Series and Royal Rumble.
Also, I would guess, again, Triple H smart, WWE smart. They don't want to do too much on pre-tape shows because it all gets out.
Yep.
So you don't want to give away a whole lot. I didn't really think about that till now, but there wasn't going to be very much going on in WWE because it was all pre-tape.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah. Did you see it was posted on Instagram where when Roman Reigns was sitting ringside watching the match and a kid,
he was going to spank his butt.
And he said, "Where's your daddy? You need me to spank you?"
He said, "Do you want me to spank your butt?" Which is,
"Where's your daddy at? You need me to spank your butt?"
Which is some way to interact with a kid. That's something.
He has come so far, Roman Reigns. It's amazing.
But one of the best parts of that video is watching Paul Heyman's face through the whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
Heyman has this face like he wants to kill the kid. Like, how dare you talk to the tribal chief?
Well, right before he says, "Your daddy's right here. This is the tribal chief."
Yeah. It's good stuff. Very good.
You got anything else, WWE?
Did you see there was another video that came out that was weird? It was kind of awkward. Like, when, I don't know if it wasn't this week, but I think it was last week, where Roman Reigns was in the ring and Randy Orton came out and then they went to commercial.
Yeah.
There's a video of Randy Orton just outside the ring trying to like stay hyped up because during the commercial they can't like interact with each other.
I mean,
so the bloodline just
television, man.
Bloodline is just in the ring. Randy Orton's just outside the ring, and they're just waiting for the commercial break to end. And it's
they're being very professional. They know they're not supposed to get into it when the camera's on, and they're very professional.
Yeah, that was an interesting video.
You got anything else, WWE? And we'll move on to AEW.
Nope.
All right, cool. So are we any closer to finding out who the devil is? MJF, Samoa Joe, they're in the ring. They get surrounded by a bunch of the henchmen. Then the devil pops up on the screen. The devil wants a Ring of Honor Tag Team Championship match, right?
Why? Why does the devil want a Ring of Honor?
Those titles.
Why does the devil care about the Ring of Honor titles? What's happening?
Are we any closer?
This is feeling real TNA-ish to me. This whole storyline is starting to feel real TNA-ish. Just like cheesy, like it seems like they're making up the story every week as they go. Like, why does the devil want Ring of Honor titles? I just
we have to find out next week at World's End. Like that, we're going to find out, right?
I got it. I hope so.
What matches do we have for World's End so far?
Officially, there's 5 matches. There's the MJF versus Samoa Joe for the world title. Tony Storm versus Rio.
Is there a world, by the way, where MJF loses?
No. Okay. Well, no. No, I don't think so. I don't think so.
Tony Storm versus Rio. Okay.
Yeah. Julia Hart versus Abaddon.
Wow, Abaddon getting a pay-per-view match.
Sure.
Okay.
The Continental Classic finals and Edge versus Christian in a no DQ match.
So where are we for Dynamite next week, which is in Orlando, by the way? Where are we for the blue and the gold finals? We have a triple threat, right? Yes. Jay White, Moxley, and Swerve, right?
Yes.
Okay. And what's the other side?
And then the other side is Bryan Danielson versus Eddie Kingston.
Eddie Kingston managed to get enough points to be in the final?
I think Eddie Kingston's going to win.
Well, yeah, he put all of his titles on the line, you know?
I think he's going to win.
So you think we're going to get Eddie Kingston versus who? Moxley?
It feels like Mox.
Because they have a history.
Yeah. You would think Swerve, right? Because like Swerve is just.
Well, I mean, we're about to revisit Swerve and Keith Lee, right?
I kind of hope not.
Oh, I had Swerve on my show.
I know. I listened to it,
and I asked him, and he was very coy about it.
Right. Okay. And don't get me wrong. I'm with you about getting a resolution to that whole thing, but also Swerve is like on a different level right now to where he should be he shouldn't be just back in like a mid-card thing, which is, to be honest, and no offense to Keith Lee, just where he's at in his career right now, that's not like a top of the card thing.
When Swerve Keith Lee becomes a free agent, he goes back to WWE, right?
Yeah, that would make sense. It makes sense to actually do something. But Swerve should be in a title or in a big name. Like he should be doing something. He's too big. I mean, he has everything. He's got the awesome music. He's got the awesome manager. He's got the dance. He's got the call and response with the crowd. Whose house? Swerve's house. And he's amazing. And like everything about him right now is he's got all the elements of a massive megastar. And if you just go back to the Keith Lee thing, you're kind of like cooling off that momentum, I think. So, not that it wouldn't be a good feud. It's just, I don't know that people care a ton about Keith Lee at the moment because he's been so underutilized.
Right.
Swerve's so big right now. I feel like I want him in something bigger. Yeah. I could see, I mean, I wouldn't be mad at coming out of this triple threat if Mox is actually going to win Swerve versus Bullet Club Gold. Something happens with him and Jay White that leads to a bigger feud. And
it's just full on babyface turn, you're saying?
Well, we talk about this all the time. He's getting to this point where he can't be a heel much longer because the crowd just loves him so much.
We got a babyface on our hands.
You know, that's what's an interesting thing to me with guys like a Swerve, where it's like you're a heel, you're clearly a heel, but how hard is it to like come up with creative ways to try to still be a heel when the crowd just loves you? Like at this point, he can do no wrong in the crowd's eyes. Like when he lost to Mox on Dynamite, people were like, "What the hell?" Mm-hmm. You could hear the crowd went silent. They're like, "I can't. How are you gonna have Swerve lose?"
Right.
You know.
Right.
But I think I didn't even realize Eddie Kingston was still alive in this thing.
I didn't either.
Which makes me believe it's going to be Eddie Kingston.
And he put all the titles on the line, you know, at the start.
Right. My favorite part about this World's End is that we can just reset everything after World's End. Like, there's 2 stories going on in AEW. There's literally 2 stories. Well, there's 3. There's 3 stories in the whole company.
Mm-hmm.
There's the
MJF and the Devil, Continental Classic,
and Edge and Christian.
Okay, yeah.
I mean, and Edge and Christian, it's got to keep going. Like, this can't be it. Like, this can't be the blow off.
So Edge and Christian, it's a what kind of match is it?
No DQ.
Okay. Oh, and now, so what's her name? Nick Wayne's mother. She's the matriarch.
Yeah,
that's her role. She's the matriarch.
She had more promo. She cut a longer promo than I feel like, other than Toni Storm, like anyone on the women's roster has cut in the last 6 months.
How mad is Britt Baker?
That was actually the first person I was thinking about.
Mm-hmm.
Like Nick Wayne's mom cutting in a horrible promo, which is what the intention is, I think, is
of course
to make everybody angry.
Yeah.
Nick Wayne he's very hateable.
Yeah.
It's a good thing that they turned him heel.
I hated him at the start. I told you, like, I didn't give a fuck about him from his debut. I hated him right away.
Can you imagine? And I understand. Look, I understand it's professional wrestling, so everything's on the table, especially when
he
comes
really
to
is
Christian.
like bootleg Dominic Mysterio. You're not.
Oh my God, he's not even. They're not even in the same realm.
He's such bootleg Dominic Mysterio.
Yeah. Can you imagine? And with Christian, nothing's off limits, obviously. But can you imagine you're what is he, 17, 18 years old, something like that?
Nick Wayne?
Yeah.
You're not talking about right now.
Yeah. He's like 18 or 19 years old, something like that.
He's that young?
Nick Wayne, I thought the whole thing was that he was like 17 years old, and then when he turned 18, they signed him.
Oh, maybe you're right.
He's 18. Can you imagine 18 years old, you're standing in the ring, and this guy, who, I mean, you know him well because you work with him, basically just says he fucked your mom.
Yeah, it's weird.
Like, there's essentially what Trishan was saying. Like, and you just got to stand there and be like, yep, it's what's best for business. Yep, like, that's a weird position to be put in.
Yep. And he's also calling himself my dad.
Right. Yeah. It's all a very strange thing.
Yep.
Christian's awesome though, so I'm okay with it. I'm just ready. The question I have for AEW is like, everyone is tied up in this devil storyline right now. Everyone, like maybe more than half of the major names in the company are sort of linked to this devil storyline.
Mm-hmm.
Like even Swerve now is linked to it. Like MJF and Swerve had the backstage segment this week, which was great.
Mm-hmm.
But so now Swerve's involved in it, and Wardlow's involved in it, and Joe's involved with it, and Roderick Strong's like. Once they actually say who the devil is, what does everybody else do? The whole show has revolved around this devil thing.
You mean once they reveal that it's Jack Perry?
I thought about this week. If that's it, I already told you. If it's Jack Perry, don't ask me about AEW for a month.
You're taking a break.
In 1 month. Don't ask. We can talk WWE, but don't ask me about AEW for 1 month. What if it's the Ring of Honor tag title thing? Made me think, could it be Adam Cole's the devil and the Rejects is Undisputed Era? And we get like the real Undisputed Era. Like
Kyle O'Reilly is back.
Kyle O'Reilly comes back.
You think they're bringing back Bobby Fish too?
I guess. I don't know. I'm just saying, like, I'm trying to think of.
I don't think so, because where does Roderick Strong fit in that story? You know?
Well, you could have Roderick Strong and the Kingdom be part of that. It could just be a big group. I don't know.
But also, I feel like if you do that, Undisputed Era, everyone loved them. And I think they're going to want everyone to hate the devil and his henchmen. I think if it ends up being the Undisputed Era, like everyone's going to cheer for them. And I don't think they want that.
I'm worried that it's going to be really hard for this thing to pay off.
I agree.
It's going to be really hard for this thing to pay because they've just drawn it out for so long. And it's MJF. It's just, you have by the way, this thing's been going on so long. Didn't this whole thing start when the devil attacked Jay White? And Jay White's not even part of it anymore?
Yeah.
So Jay White just doesn't care anymore. Jay White, first person to get attacked by the devil, impacted
He's
him.
involved in the Continental Classic, man. He's got bigger things at hand.
But it all started, right? Wasn't it a backstage attack on Jay White? And then, that was so long ago.
Because it was during his feud with MJF.
Right. And that was so long ago now that he's just not even involved in the devil thing.
Yeah.
What if it's Jay White?
It's definitely not.
Jay
White's too cool to have to put a mask on. He didn't care about people not knowing his identity. He's too cool for that.
The Bullet Club, it's because Continental Classic, you can't have anybody at the ring. I just say they haven't been around a lot lately.
Yeah.
But it's because of that rule. I don't know, man. This devil thing.
It's coming
to
an
end. Let's do it real quick. Impromptu.
Mm-hmm.
Power ranking your top 3 or 5. You want to do 3 or 5?
3.
Top 3, who you would want to be the devil.
Yeah. I mean, number 1 for me, it's Hangman. Like your idea, that I thought that was really cool. Number 1, Hangman. Number 2, I guess Adam Cole. And number 3, who I want it to be.
Or who, like, not even who you want it to be. Like, if it, well, I guess, yeah. If it
has to make sense. It has to be realistic. Yeah. Number 3, I mean, can it be MJF himself? It was me, Austin.
I mean, I think
me all along.
I think there's a lot of people who think that is a very realistic possibility that it's MJF.
I mean, right now, MJF cutting all the promos about being Jewish and standing up to Jewish hate, and then all of a sudden he's going to be the devil and he's going to be a big time heel. The timing,
he still calls himself the devil, even with.
I know, but the timing will be bad.
Yeah,
bad.
Yeah, yeah. I think I would also go Hangman would be interesting. I'll tell you what. The backstage segment made me want to see more of Swerve with him. And if you really, truly want to keep Swerve as a heel, this would be a good way to have him be the devil and attacking MJF. And then I guess I'd go. Well, we've talked about for a long time that eventually we're leading to a Adam Cole turning on MJF.
Mm-hmm.
So Adam Cole would make sense to me. And then my top 3 that I wouldn't want to see is Jack Perry 1, Jack Perry 2, Tony Khan 3.
Tony Khan. Let's
that rumor that's been out there. That's been a rumor out there too. Tony Khan.
Let's do Big Dirt, not Big Dirt today, man. What do you got for us? Let's do it.
Well, you stole my thunder a little bit with the Britt Baker one, so I'll skip that.
Okay.
Meltzer's reporting now that he reported this week that Triple H is fully in control of WWE Hall of Fame decisions and inductions. Big dirt.
Yeah, I think that's big dirt. There are several names who you don't understand why they're not in yet. For me, it's always the same one. It's Demolition. I don't get it. Makes no sense. Now, maybe there's something. Was there a lawsuit somewhere? Did something happen? I don't know. But for Demolition not to be in the WWE Hall of Fame, what are we doing? So that's always the one that stands out to me. So I'll go big dirt.
All right. Matt Riddle has finally made his decision on what he will do next. He signed back with MLW, I believe, and his first feud will be with a guy who many people are hoping is in WWE as part of the bloodline in the near future, Jacob Fatu, the most dangerous man on the planet. And I don't know if you've seen this guy, but I don't know if you've seen Jacob Fatu or seen his promo. He's awesome. He's great. He is a great oos. He would be a good addition. But Matt Riddle back on the indies, back in MLW.
Yeah, I'm going not big dirt. I don't really think Matt Riddle's a draw. I mean, it's good for MLW, gets them some attention, but Matt Riddle doesn't do anything for me, so I go not big dirt.
It looks like I think this was last week, but there was at the SmackDown taping. Before they did SmackDown, WWE was like sort of piloting this new show concept called WWE Speed.
Yeah, I saw that.
Where they are, I guess, just having fast match, like bringing wrestlers.
You got to win the match like in under 5 minutes or something.
Yeah, and I guess the idea is that if they're able to launch this show, that it'll be a social media thing where they'll just they'll post these short matches on social media platforms.
Yeah, I'll go big dirt. I like it. I think that's a cool concept. I think that works. I dig it.
It's like a better version of the show that what was the other show that they would always do. That's like it's like an hour show where they have like 2 or 3 match superstars. Is it superstars?
Main event.
Yeah, main event. Yeah, it's like that. Like no one watches main event, right? At least if it's on social.
And main event, I think, was exclusively like a Hulu thing or a Peacock
or network
thing.
Oh, right. Yeah. But people will watch these matches if they're on social. So that.
Yeah, I like it. I think it's a good idea.
All right, here's the big one, or you decide if it's the big one. But
yeah,
for me, I figured you would like this. So Ric Flair, we've seen all over the place on AEW that he's getting into all these businesses.
Mm-hmm.
He's got Woo Energy, which is sponsoring all things AEW. He has Ric Flair Drip, which is his cannabis brand.
Okay.
He announced this week WooCoin. The biggest cryptocurrency project of the year. Ric Flair is launching WooCoin, cryptocurrency.
I'm going not big dirt. We know that Ric Flair will do anything for money. All right. So it doesn't necessarily mean that any of these things will be successful. I will go not big dirt.
Okay. Man, I can't believe that. Ric Flair crypto.
Crypto's not even real. It's not a real thing. So whatever.
Yeah.
It's hawking fake money.
Oh, that's Ric Flair.
Yeah, it's not even real. Anything else?
No, that's it. That's all.
Good job, man. So like we said this week, Raw is like a best of kind of deal. Then you got New Year's Revolution on Friday. That's going to be a very big show. And then, of course, next weekend, the night before, we'll get back to like what's become our regular scheduled time, which is Sunday in between the late games and then the Sunday night game. We'll recap New Year's Revolution. We'll look forward to day one. We'll have some fun.
And we'll recap World's End on Saturday.
Yep. And World's End, of course, which we're expecting we're going to get the devil reveal. So there you have it. Joey, excellent job. Today's show brought to you in part by Bet Online. Joey, why don't you tell all your fans you'll talk to them next week? Go ahead.
I'll talk to you all next week unless Jack Perry's the devil. And then all bets are off.
Yeah. Then you might be taking a break. All right. Good job. Thanks, everybody who hung out with us. We love pro wrestling. If you watched us live, we love that. If you're listening on the podcast right now, that's also awesome. Go Dolphins. Huge game today. Dolphins and Cowboys. If you're watching us live right now, I'm hosting ESPN Radio NFL Game Day from 1 to 5. So I hope you guys hang out with us. And we'll talk to you on the next edition of It's Still Real to Me. All right. See you guys.